Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, I'm going to be joined by a teammate of mine, VeiledShot, who is also a content creator for Diablo Immortal. I will link to his channel down below. It's a great source for lots of really good content on Diablo Immortal. He, like me, has done a lot of studying and a lot of research on this game, so I wanted to bring somebody with me to talk about the monetization model in Diablo Immortal, some of these changes that are going to be rumored to be happening with the Rare Crest. I think it's going to be a very impactful, noteworthy system and a popular change if they can implement it right. So we're just going to walk you through the legendary gems and the legendary crests and the monetization, what our plans are, how we feel about this model in terms of what it's going to be like when Diablo Immortal launches based off of what we know right now. So let's get into it. Alrighty, and now joined by my friend VeiledShot, my teammate on launch day, who is also an amazing content creator who has a channel that I will link to down below, cranking out some awesome Diablo Immortal content. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
Awesome. Glad to have you here because I wanted to bring somebody on with me instead of just me sitting here rambling to talk about. I haven't done a video yet on the monetization model and what people need to be expecting on launch, what all that's going to look like in terms of the Rare Crest, the Legendary Crest. We've actually had a recent rumored change coming to the Rare Crest. So I thought we could walk people through what that's going to look like and then what that rumored change to the crests are and what they need to be expecting if all of that goes through. So go ahead and just walk us through your general perception of like the monetization model and kind of the overarching scheme, and we can kind of kick it off like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's super important because I feel like you can't say anything good about this game without someone clapping back at you, telling you how garbage the game is for the pay to win system. But I don't think it's generally that bad because you really have one pay to win system in the game, and that's going to be your legendary gems. They're generally locked behind legendary crests and the ability to craft them. And so on top of that, you're going to have to rank up your legendary gems, which require more legendary gems. So in general, it's all about legendary gems. And they're very difficult to obtain. And so I think the general perception and the general math behind it is like you need to spend tens of thousands of dollars to actually get a significant advantage. So you're really not going to have a huge difference between your low spenders and your free-to-play players, but you will have a huge difference between your like absolute mega krakens and your low spenders.
Yeah, but isn't that some of that advantage scaled down? Like, isn't there like a 10% gate on like combat rating when it comes to PvP or something?
Yeah, so there's two advantages when it comes to PvP. You have the combat rating, and then you actually just have the actual stats. The actual stats isn't a huge bonus. I think that the comparison's a little off when you see some of those comparisons out there. It's not a comparison between someone who has nothing and someone who has everything. It's usually a comparison between someone who has average gear and someone who has a lot of gear. So you get extra attributes like life and damage, but then you also get the combat rating, which gives you a 10% increased damage, as well as a 10% decreased damage taken from enemies in PvP. So it's not a huge deal.
Yep, and a lot of the benefit of like being like the Kraken high spender, having all these gems is mainly like the rotation of your synergies, like getting the cooldown reduction, right?
Yeah, so once you get those legendary gems ranked up to 10, and you can start awakening your gear, which is another portion of the system, which is way later on. You could start unlocking things like cooldown reduction by 10%. You could start unlocking a little bit of damage increases, but mainly you're going to get those extra cooldown decreases, as you're saying.
Yep. Okay. So let's talk about for the people that are maybe getting into Diablo Immortal, they're not super familiar with the rare crests and the legendary crests and how Blizzard is kind of trying to change those. Walk us through your view of what rare and legendary crests are, and then I'll let you know my view on it.
So legendary and rare crest are basically like a amplification modifier to a mini dungeon. The mini dungeon is called the Elder Rifts. So you use your rare and legendary crests as little modifiers that give the enemy special bonuses that may make it harder, or you have a chance of getting your own teammates extra bonuses to make it easier for you. And so the rare crest will drop special materials and perhaps normal gems and if you get lucky, a low ranked legendary gem. And the change that Blizzard's making is that they're going to actually drop special materials, whether that's going to be platinum or another resources, we're not sure yet, but it looks like you're going to be able to craft legendary gems using your rare crests. And that's a new change because previously you weren't able to do that. And the main resource to get legendary gems is those legendary crests. They're going to guarantee you a drop in terms of legendary gems. The rarity in terms of what legendary gems you drop is a RNG kind of loot box type roll. But you'll also get something called Fading Ember, which you could spend in a shop. For everyone else that didn't actually use the legendary crest themselves, so basically your teammates, if you're running in a party of 4, they're going to get a bunch of Fading Ember that they can buy legendary gems with, albeit they're going to be lower ranked gems, but at least it's a guaranteed source of legendary gems.
Yeah, so and each player can put up to 10 crests, right?
Yeah, so you could have up to 40 modifiers, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. And then can you do like 20 rare and 20 legendary? Have we seen anybody combining them like that?
I'm not sure. I know that when I looked for rare crests, you could do, so it basically goes, you can go 1, 2, 3, or 10 modifiers. You can't actually do the middling ground from 4 to 9. You can't just drop
okay, that's
any
good to
amount.
Know. Yep.
Yeah, so you have to either go like, okay, so here's like your easy tier, your medium tier is going to be the 3, and then your difficult tier for those endgame players, you're going to drop 10 per party member. And I'm not sure if you can combine the two, like you have a party member running 10 rare, you got 10 legendary, or if you could do actually 20, like 10 rare and 10 legendary, and you can have up to 80 modifiers in a battle. I'm not quite sure on that.
Yep. Okay. So the absolute like highest tier, they're going to be kind of coming out the gate, and they're all going to be blasting in 10 legendary crests in their runs so that they can get kind of the RNG on their side for dropping some of these top level legendary gems, because it's still not going to be like guaranteed to get some of those 5-star legendary gems, but you'll be like, the more crests you put in, you'll be at the higher end of that RNG distribution.
Yeah, and it's important to note that when you're using those 10 legendary crests, you actually have a cap on weekly Fading Ember, which is the resource that you're getting on top of getting those drops of legendary gems. So it doesn't really necessarily make sense unless you're like spending a crazy amount. You're going to lose so much value out of those things after, I think it's like, I don't know how much Fading Ember you get, but maybe like 100 legendary crests a week or so.
Okay, yeah, and I actually like that mechanic, because what that means is like, okay, we're going to be playing a ton, so we're going to hit our max of Fading Ember anyway, so our spending at that point is going to get a lot less efficient, so we might as well just empower our rifts with like 1 or 2 instead of going 10 every single time, and then you get kind of diminishing returns because now you're not getting Fading Ember anymore. And also, maybe you've got a friend that's free to play, but they're really good at the game and they're going to be really active, and you want them in your group. Well, now you're still going to hit your max anyway, and as long as they're a good player and they're doing their part in the group, everybody can kind of get a benefit from the group.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I agree 100%. It's also the Elder Rifts for those absolute end game players, those really solid players. They take like 3 minutes, so you'll absolutely crush through your weekly limit, no questions asked, even if you're only playing a few hours a day.
Yeah, and we're gonna be in one of those groups that's trying to get kind of a crazy start out the gate. So it's something we're gonna have to kind of sit down and also plan as well. So we're kind of theory crafting and thinking out loud here, and just pressing the record button and showing you that that thought process of how we can plan. And do we know? Like, we don't even know the like is it like, do you get diminishing returns like from 1 to 2 or to 10? Is it like a straight up like additive bonus, or is 10, you know what I mean? Like is it 10%, 20%, and then 100%, or is the 10 only like 50?
In terms of difficulty or rewards?
No, in terms of the reward. Like is 10 legendary crests straight up 10 times better than 1 legendary crest, or is there a diminishing?
So in terms of legendary gem drops, it is sort of just 10 times. It's just additive. Each legendary crest, you just get 1 extra legendary gem drop. For the player that actually used the legendary crest, In terms of Fading Ember, I believe it's also going to be additive, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I do know for the Legendary Gems, it's just going to be an additive.
Yep, cool. Okay. Well, no, that's kind of what I wanted to do a video touching base on, because I know we're getting some rumors about the rare and legendary crests, and obviously the game is going to revolve around the legendary gems and the RNG of grinding enough to get some of those 4-star, 5-star gems and start really getting your builds to synergize and shine. So did you have anything else you wanted to add before we kind of start to wrap it up?
Say that if they, depending on how they change these rare crests, this could be an extremely viable way for free-to-play players and low spenders alike. Even the endgame players, all of people in general are going to benefit from progressing your gear. If they make a solid crafting system behind the rare crests, you're going to have no problem obtaining legendary gems, which will be a really nice system for everyone.
Yeah, I really hope they get that right, because I want people to, like, I like it when monetization is in a way to maybe like speed things up, as opposed to just straight up like gating someone out of something. You know what I mean? So I hope
Yeah.
they reward the people that are willing to kind of grind and be super active in the community and play the game a lot. I hope they're rewarded for that, as opposed to like maybe a whale that plays 30 minutes a day, but they spend thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I think if you're comparing someone who spends very little time in the game to someone who does like 20 hours a week, or if you're a really in-game player, you're pushing really hard, you're doing 80 hours a week, those should just not be in comparison. Like 80 hours a week, you should absolutely be dominating those people. But when it becomes a system where you're spending, I don't know, $2,000 a day, and you're able to compete with someone who's spending all that time, I think that's a little iffy. I don't think that should be happening in the game. I don't think that's where it is at right now. I think that if you're spending a ton of time in the game grinding out your platinum, if you're obtaining that immortal ranking, you're also, I think a lot of people miss this point as well. When you become an immortal, you have access to something called the vault, and you'll get access to absolute GG legendary item gear, which whales who are not immortals can't obtain generally. So there's so many different systems in the game to benefit players who are spending 80 hours in the game a week or so.
Yep, and Blizzard will, I mean, obviously, Blizzard's got a big game that's about to launch here. They're not going to want to mess it up. Like, they're going to be adjusting things. They've already made tons of changes since the alpha, and they're going to continue to evolve. They're not just going to drive the game into the ground. So I'm sure, if they're getting a lot of feedback and they need to adjust things, I'm sure this first month or two is going to be crazy, and, we're going to do our best to keep you in the loop. But, all right, Veiled, thanks for taking the time to join me. Fun as always.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you. Alrighty, so that is going to do it for this one, and you know what to do. All the links you need are down below to subscribe to the channel and also join the Discord if you are looking for a GG team, or if you just want to be part of a community that's going to be crushing it on launch when this game is finally live. So that'll do it for me on this one, and as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.